Good day, everyone. I'm really happy to be here with you to tell you how to build your positioning statement. My name is Cyril Voiron. I've been working for the first 10 years of my life in marketing publishing in Infograms Atari, and the last 9 years in game development in the Ubisoft Blue Byte German studios, and specifically in Ubisoft Düsseldorf. And whether you're doing business or you're doing game development, knowing what your positioning is critical if you want to be successful. So what is your positioning? Well, the positioning is what your consumers perceive your game is on the market. What could it be? It could be the best platformer, the best role-playing game, the most realistic driving simulation, the most intense multiplayer game, the first MOBA. It can be many different things, and that's always the opinion of your consumers. As you've heard from the example I gave you, it's always one sentence. It's something you can easily explain and tell to other people. And it's not something which comes out of nowhere. It's actually the result of an active process. You are going to establish the positioning of your game. Or if you're talking about a studio, of your studio, it's the same process. So what do you need to know in order to build this positioning? Well, you need to know a couple of things. You need to do your homework. First, your competition. What games are you going to compete against? Your USPs and features. USP, unique selling point, what is very special about your game. Your strengths and weaknesses. You need to know where you're good and where you're not as good. And of course, critical when you want to do game development or marketing, your target audience. Who are you building this game for? And the first step to build it is you need to have done an extensive SWOT analysis. SWOT. What? Strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. You need to know where your game is good at and where your game is not good, and you need to know what's coming on the market, which can have an influence on how people are going to perceive your game. That's the external factors of threats and opportunities. Opportunities could be the release of a new platform. You're going to be the best on this new platform. Threats could be the arrival of a new technology, which is going to make your game outdated. So you need to have a very, very good understanding of what's happening on the market around you and how you fit into the market to be able to determine the best positioning for your game. And then how do you do it? Well, it's quite simple. You're going to look at every single feature you've got in your game. When I say feature, I take it in a broad meaning. Art direction could be a feature. It's not technically a mechanic, but it could be one. And basically every single element in your game, you're going to do two things. First, you're going to assess, is it important for your target audience, these particular features? And you're also going to determine whether your execution of this feature, how good it is compared to the competition. You're going to put everything in one chart, which will look like something like this. On the left, your USPs, your features, the content. Middle column, how important it is for your audience. Maybe it is the most wanted feature that they want, or maybe it's not important at all. Or maybe it's just basic. Basic meaning that if you don't have it, probably they're going to be unhappy, but if you have it, it's not going to make a big difference. And then it's important to know for every single of them how good it is compared to the competition. Are you the best at doing something? Are you the first in doing something? Or are you just doing something as well as some others, or even not as good as others? And when you have done all this, you can actually decide where you build your positioning. And I think you can imagine you're going to build it on what is the most wanted for your consumers, what is very important for them, and where you are or the strongest, or the first, or even the best. So I think it makes sense, but nothing like an example. I love quiz. So we're going to do a small quiz about a AAA console role-playing game, and we're going to determine what is the positioning of this game together. Let's have a look. What can I do in this big game? Well, there is a 4-season cycle. Wow, interesting. 50 unique monsters, a dialogue system which takes into account the emotions of the player, a very large detailed world, 3 characters creation, co-op, 8 players, and a realistic art style. And I know, because I've done some market research, I've read forums, I've done a focus test, I know how each of these features is important for the target audience, the role-playing game players, RPG players. And I know also, because I've played all the game, I've read lots of things, I know where I'm good at and where I'm the best, and where I'm sometimes the first, which I have some elements. So where am I going to build my positioning on? Easy. You're going to be on what is the most wanted for your players, because that's what they're looking for. And what is the most wanted and where I am the best at. So it's about a very large detailed world. So that will be the core of my positioning statement. And I've wrote one for you, actually. And it's an RPG set in the largest detailed living world, filtering the 4-season cycle. Why did I add the 4-season cycle? You ask me. Well, because we are the first in doing something. We don't know if it's important for the players because nobody talks about it, but it works really well with this very large detail world. It just expands the universe. So probably it's going to give me an additional edge and not take anything away from what I've done before. So here you go. I've got my positioning statement. Why is it important? Well, it's very important to do it right because it determines so many other aspects of your development. Probably your positioning is going to have an impact on the first impression that you are going to generate. You're going to do a trailers, you're going to have some announcements, you're going to put some screenshot out. Everything you're going to create on the marketing side, business side, is going to be to establish this positioning on the market. So let's have a look and give you another example. In this case, we've decided that our positioning was an RPG set in the largest detailed living world featuring the 4-season cycle. Remember, we've looked at what was very important for the consumers and where we were the best, and that's what we focused on. But just imagine that we don't care about consumers. Well, we should always, but we don't. And we just look at what we've been creating as a game and how it compares to competition. And I can see I can be the first and the best by being a co-op 8-player games. And I'm also the best with my special dialogue system where I can feel that the NPCs have emotions. That's where I could have created my positioning. The first RPG where you can play with 7 friends and encounter NPCs that feel like real human beings. But if you compare both, that's the same game. It's not the same positioning. And if I'm thinking about first impression, trailers, screenshot, whether I use one or the other, I'm not going to have the same image projected outside. And I'm not going to reach my consumers in the same way. On the red one, I know that they don't care about co-op. So basically, if everything I do is based on this positioning, I will not reach everybody and I will fail. So I hope you've understood how to build your positioning. Good luck with it. Bye.